near you.
Well, hello everybody. Welcome. Hello there, Gene Hudson, Moon and New Pal, Roger Blair, Gene Hudson. Let's see here, Gary, Trista. Welcome, Trista. How you doing there? We got Rachel. Hello there, Rachel. Hello.
Rachel, thanks for watching.
Yes. So, welcome everybody to another edition. So, this edition is brought to you by USCCA. We did partner up with them. So, if you are traveling, ladies and gentlemen, make sure and check with them. And if you are traveling from state to state and you need to know the concealed carry laws, please check with them. I will drop the link out there in our description. And it is free, so just check with them. Make sure you know the laws. Brought to you by USCCA. So hello there, Christopher. How you doing today?
I'm doing
Welcome to the show.
How about you, buddy?
Wonderful. So what have you been up to?
I just got back traveling with MUFON to a couple of meetings that we had to go to, and ran into some great celebrities, some interesting people, great food, and had a great time. We were down in Starved Rock, Illinois.
Oh, really? So you met a lot of interesting people then, haven't you? Welcome, Steve.
I got to hang out with John Schmidt and a few others, and yeah, had a great time, great food, and beautiful weather out. So you couldn't pass that up by no means.
Oh, that's great. I'm glad to hear that. So anything interesting happen while you was down there?
Yeah, the place is known to be haunted, and actually captured on my phone. I was doing I'll admit I was doing a couple of selfies, and actually caught my dresser drawers opening up on their own. So that was pretty interesting.
Really?
And I was not the only one on the trip that had that experience. So
Wow, that's awesome. Interesting. So tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about aliens. Are they friends or are they foes? How can you tell? So we were talking in the green room about John Greer, right? Did I say his name right? I always get him confused. Now, he has been on record that we know that he has a lot of intel about aliens and aliens' life and technology that the government does not like. So he even says the only reason he's alive because he has stuff in place to where if something happens to him, that things will be dropped and exposed, not only against our government, but worldwide. So, but I think that he said approximately 3 or 5 years ago, and it's probably outdated, that there's probably approximately 69, maybe more now, documented different alien races. I know there's probably more. Welcome, JD Smooth. Welcome to the show. A round of applause to everybody. Nice to have you. That's very fascinating, right? It just blows my mind. Now, we know about the Greys. We know about the reptilians. We know about the other ones, right? Of course, we see the movies that we have grown up and been fascinated with. What is reality and what is truth?
yes, and of course, reality and truth. They say that the world we live in right now is simply more of a don't want to use the term reality because it's not really reality. It's more like a vision that we're living in, and that the reality is really up there in space, and what we're living in is just more like an artificial like a video that plays. It's what we're living in now. But the actual life and the reality itself is out there. And getting back to the whole topic of friend and foe, we do know that if you look at all the abductions, all the alleged sightings, everything that's happened, a lot of those people that claim to have had abductions or had strange or bizarre encounters, had their first thought, their first thing they think of when this happens is violent or harmful. Now, a lot of people have even reported it as being violent or harmful in their reports, but then once they go under hypnosis or start to slowly recall the events that took place, and they start to piece it together step by step, they find out, okay, it wasn't as harmful as they thought it was. It was all just a fear factor, because the first thing you think of when you see an ET, or or when you even think of the term aliens, you think of fear or harmful because of what you hear on TV or from the government. But they're not really out here to hurt us at all. They're out there to help us. Now, it is true there are some ETs that have been known to be a little bit more on the mischievous, violent side. We call those the Greys. And I do know for a fact that the ETs that I've worked with or that I've encountered, they do not socialize with the Greys. The Greys and are more, as you want to call it, the evil type of ETs, whereas the rest of them are more pleasant, more helpful, and we refer to those as like Zeta Reticuli. And of course, there's the Pleiadians, and there's a whole lot of Council of Eight, Council of Nine, and Four, and those are all peaceful, hopeful ETs. They're here to look out for us, to help us populate, grow, and stay healthy. The Greys are more violent, but not all the Greys. There are some that are just as good as we are, and so a lot of people they can be visited by any one of those, and the first thing they have is fear. When you take that fear away and you help them realize that it was all beneficial, because there's been so many reports where people started out with fear, and then once they talk to us in MUFON and they work with us, they come to realize, okay, well, no, I wasn't being harmed, and no, they didn't do anything bad to me, and I was brought back peacefully and safely. They were okay. I guess it wasn't as bad as I thought it was. It's just the fear that initially comes over them.
All right. So I'm going to play devil's advocate. So I do believe that back in the 50s that we did sign a treaty with an alien race for not only technology, but also to harvest humans for whatever reasons, for abductions. I do believe that aliens do take humans against their will. I do believe that people are harvested females for their eggs. I do believe that males are taken for their sperm for reproductions. I mean, we hear this over and over that females were once pregnant, confirmed by medical professions, and then all of a sudden the pregnancies have been terminated and the doctors cannot explain it. But then, however, allegedly in dreams, that they are visited with aliens that are brought back with hybrid children to show them what they have made. How can we explain that? And when then people are hypnotized under hypnosis, recall this without even knowing it. I mean, how can we explain this? I mean, yes, okay, granted, we have good and we have evil. We have yin and we have yang. But, good outweighs bad, bad outweighs evil. But there are things that walk upon this earth, whether it's aliens, cryptids, reptilians, whatnot. For example, the government knows we are being withheld information with aliens. People want to talk about the reason why we are not told is because we cannot handle the truth. And people think it's technology. I beggar the difference. I don't think the government's holding information because it's not technology. Technology we already have from them. It's been stated on record in Congress that's been thousands of years old because of recovered wreckage. Reverse engineer. Look at Bob Lazar, right? He's been on record since the late 80s, and we thought
Right.
he was nuts, and it all come to fruitations. However, the things that I think that we as a human civilization cannot handle the truth or understand what undo the fabrics of human civilization is that maybe we are the alien race, that we were fabric of their hybrid civilizations engineered by them, and maybe we are their genetic experiments. Is that possible?
Well, I do know that it is very much possible, but on the other hand, another thing to think of too is the fact that, okay, so they want us to grow and populate and keep on, living here on Earth because we are, as I was told, we're the only friends and family they have besides each other. And so they're going to do everything in their power to keep us safe, to keep Earth safe. They don't want Earth collapsing or disintegrating, however you want to look at it. They want to keep everything on Earth safe, including its people. And we are, in some ways, we are children of the ETs. So all of us have a little ET in us because, from what I've been told and have seen, in some cases, that you are placed inside a chamber, your consciences, when you're born or when you're up there. And then when it's your turn, when you're ready, your consciousness goes into the human form, into a human body, and then begins to grow here on Earth. So you actually have two sets of family. You have family up there in some cases, and you have family here on Earth. And back in October when I went back up there to see my family, this is back in October. It was like a big reunion, like a big. We hugged and we kind of embraced each other. It was like going back home again. And everybody here on Earth could have experiences, and they don't recall it because in some cases, when you're brought here on Earth, you're given a medicine or whatever that erases your memory, so you don't remember everything because they're afraid that if we remember everything that happens up there, we may be too fearful of it, and not everybody can handle the fear. And so I do believe that it is true that if not everybody can handle the fear, those that can are allowed to remember, those that can't are not allowed to. But in some cases, over time, some of those memories can slowly come back to you, including under hypnosis.
I agree with that. Even Gene says, yes, so they want us to grow and populate so they continue to experiment on us, or, and I've heard this before, to possibly eat us. Are we not a product for them to consume?
I've never heard of a person being ate up or even dismantled by ETs. I mean, I've heard of people being harmed by ETs for sure. I've never heard of an ET eating a human. I do know they eat cattle a lot because they store the cattle on the backside of the moon. That's their storage facility for most of their food. I've never actually heard or done a case where any human has been ate or been completely dismantled by an ET. Harmed, yes, but never completely destroyed or killed.
So JD Smooth says, so what you're saying is that every baby being born cause became from woman and is a chamber we're being transported. What I said is that women that has been harvested their eggs or has been transplanted and has been pregnant by aliens, and then in their first or second trimester has been removed and not have a full term pregnancy, and the doctors cannot explain what happened, and then turn around and be revisited by an alien race and showing a hybrid alien child that belongs to them. That is strange.
It is strange when you look at it that way. It is very strange. I do know that some women definitely have been impregnated by the ETs, and they do have the ET children. However, way back when we're first placed into the chamber, and then later our conscience comes into human form, um, we do sign, and I've been told this, that we do sign a contract agreeing to a lot of things. If you feel like you have signed a contract or have been, you know, agreed to a lot of things, you can break the contract. You can't tell them you want your contract broken next time you see them. Tell them any contracts that you had with them completely broken and dismantled. That will end a lot of the contact that you have, because at the time that you were placed in the chamber, you agreed to have the visitations in that contract that you signed. But it can't be broken. You can't break it.
And Moon at Noon, we are the product of a creation itself. We are not the children of aliens. No, it's not what I said. Hopefully, I did not. Hopefully, did not mean to come across that way. I said some women are producing a hybrid alienation. So I just want to make sure that was clarified. But Rachel says reptilians eat louche. What is louche?
I'm not for sure what she meant by loosh, but reptilians do eat do most all ETs eat cattle, and that seems to be the more common things they eat cattle. And in fact, I just did a case last year. I mentioned this before for the Texas cattle mutilations. I did a remote viewing assignment for them, and during the assignment, I was able to tap into the ETs and communicate with them through my remote viewing work. And they did say that they store the cattle on the backside of the moon, but they also said that we have plenty of cattle that we can share, that we are all one nation under one source. Because as we worship, as we call it God or our Father in heaven, they too worship the same individual, but they don't call it God or Father, they call it a higher source. And they say that we are all from that same source. And Brian says that we are star children. Is that where star children come from? Star children, in fact, there is a book I'm currently reading about letters. It's called Letters to a Star Seed. And in that book, it tells, for those that feel like they are a star seed, how to tap into those hidden memories and how to bring that more out to fruition, or the word I'm looking for. And also in the book, it tells you how to how to handle being a star seed here on Earth, and how to understand your purpose here on Earth.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, I will say this for the record that there are people that conjure things upon themselves that think that they have been abducted that are not, that there are mental illness upon us in this world that is a real crisis in this society. Uh, that is a big issue, that there are people that fabricate stories. Yes, we have that. And whatever phenomenon that is in our society, whether it's paranormal, cryptids, aliens, UFOs, we're going to have people that make up stories or fabricate. Yes, and we have to sift through that. However, you do have the real stories, the real encounters out there. Hello, Lady Wolf. Welcome. And those are the ones that are terrorized, the ones that have the implants, the ones that have the scars, the ones that unfortunately cannot live in society and actually have been documented that either have to go into a mental institution or at the end of the road have been documented that end up taking their own life because of the issues they cannot live with. And how do we explain that?
Right, there are so many cases that I've done where, because we have ways of being able to determine if a case or a story is true or false. We do that a lot of times by not only the tone of their voice, the choice of their words, and then what we normally do in some cases is we wait till they get done telling their story, then we go back and we'll ask maybe a few questions that they mentioned about some of the stuff they mentioned earlier, and see if they give the same answers. Because if they really did have these experiences, and then their answers and the story is going to be the same throughout the whole conversation that we have. If they're kind of making this up on, say, a fly by minute or whatever, then they may change some of their answers, and we can tell that. But I've worked with so many people that have had such remarkable and some traumatizing experiences. In fact, I've worked with some individuals who have had uh, so much fear with everything they went through that it's tough for them to even tell me over the phone because they get so heartbroken. In fact, one woman that I worked with, and it was so heartbreaking because I worked with her for almost maybe a month total. During one of our conversations, because she had had numerous abductions and encounters, during one of her conversations with me, she got real quiet and she asked me if she was being punished by all this. I said, no, it's not your fault. You didn't ask for this, and nobody asked for these visitations. Not that they're aware of. Nobody asked for them, but when they happen, it's traumatizing. It can take weeks, months, even years to fully, even halfway come to grips with it. One of the individuals I worked with for a case, he had burn marks because he had went outside at the exact moment this spaceship was flying over, and the radiation or whatever coming off the ship left a huge round indent in the side of his near his stomach area, and he said he didn't really care about the UFO or the aliens. He wanted to know how he got the burn marks, what that was all about, because I don't know, remember if he blacked out after the burn marks happened or exactly how the story was. Maybe he's just so curious about the burn marks. It looked like a big sunburn.
Yeah, I agree. As a good interviewer or investigator, you know what to look for, the keywords, how people are going to answer. However, people that do not tell the truth, you have to sift through it, and it clogs and causes undue investigations. But the real ones out there, the ones, why is it that the ones that do have the encounters that always start out young and they get revisited throughout their lifetimes? Why do they always come back, it seems like?
Yeah, a lot of the reasons why they keep coming back for more visitations is because the ETs are they monitor our health and they watch us grow. They can pick us out as kids because it's possible that maybe we were originally from up there, and so they want to keep an eye on their children in some cases, or even just the fact they want to monitor our health and give us a great life. And so I've even had cases where little kids have played with ET since they were babies, and as children, as little kids, they weren't frightened by it because to them it was just normal play dates. And then one of the witnesses, I was able to get a drawing that her daughter had made of her friends of the ETs, and little kids, they're having visitations from ETs if they can successfully draw what it looks like, because they're not watching this on the Sunday morning cartoons by no means,
Right.
and they can successfully draw a clear picture, and them it's just friends, and so some people can have visitations from the time they're kids, and as they get older, the visitations may not be as frequent, but then every now and then they may still come around to check on you. I mean, they checked on me back in October and just let me know that they're still here, that I'm still loved. And anybody who has a visitation from ETs, it's possible they may have been visited before and they don't recall it, or it could be the first time. And I know it can be very traumatizing, or in some cases very scary, to all of a sudden see something you've never seen before. And then once you start remembering, if they allow you to remember, it starts making more sense. And I don't know the names of the people of the ETs that I've witnessed, but I know a few of them that did look just like human. Hello, Brian, and hello, everybody in the chat room, if I didn't say that yet. Thanks for coming here.
Two things. We know that whatever alien race that inhabit our galaxy and Earth are and is concerned about our well-being and our planet, because they do monitor our wars, our nuclear programs, because they have shut off our nuclear silos not only in America on several occasions, but also Russia. And they done it so many times, America and Russia quit reporting it. And that goes to show that who's in control? Not us. Roger Blair states, do the aliens use animals and other life forms from Earth to experiment with their DNA, or is it just humans?
I don't know if they use animals for DNA. I know they have used humans before, but I don't know about animals. Although there was one case where a gentleman claimed he was out hunting, and I guess for those who ever watched the shows, 411, I forgot what the gentleman's name is now, but it's a film.
David Plotty.
Yeah, and one of the episodes where a gentleman was interviewed said they took all of his cattle, not cattle. Yeah, I guess it was cattle, and no, it was deer. He took all of his deer. He was out deer hunting, and he took all of his deer that he had. And anyways, he was traumatized by that. So they do use the animals for not only food, but I'm sure they probably could use it for DNA as well. But you never know. I mean, you could be standing outside your house one minute, and then maybe you have a cow or a horse that just up and just vanishes. In fact, there was one story where a woman was so attached to her, I think it was a horse, so attached that when the horse was taken, moments later it was brought back down, and it was still half alive because it had such an attachment to her, an emotional attachment. And she was interviewed, and she said that it was just traumatizing to sit there and watch your own animals get harmed by this. Hello, Moon. Thanks for coming here.
Sorry, Moon. Hopefully you get feeling better. So my question is, let's look at history. Let's look at all these civilizations that were here and they just disappear and we don't know where. What happened to them? Was that an experiment that started and they were done and they just erased them? Was that the aliens?
You look back at how far all of these reports go, and some of these reports go clear back to even back to when the Bible was written. There's reports of bright lights coming down from the sky, and so ETs were around then. I think the bigger question would be to stop and think about, okay, what came first? Did the source, the whole planet that we're living in, come first, or did the ETs come first? Were they here before the dinosaurs? Or were they here, even before the Bible was written in some cases? So could they be us from the future, or have they been here all along, and we're just now starting to come into our lifestyle? And looking back at all of this, if you put it all together, everything that you know of together, it's really all just one togetherness. We're all just living together in some ways. Because I mean, you got the solar system out there. Then you got Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Venus, Uranus, and Earth. You got all these uh, planets. You got Moon, and you got the Sun. And it's all one big unit, all one big area, and we're living in it. And they're living up there, and we're living here, and so we're all together. So I would like to think that in some way, shape, or form, in the next, say, maybe 100 to 1,000 years, we can start to more get along and start to come together, because that's what they're waiting for. They're waiting for everybody here on Earth to stop the fighting, stop the anger and the hate, so they can come down here and visit us more, like what their plan is.
Rebecca states, my grandson says he wakes up and sees a shadow figure in the middle of the bedroom, shaped like a wolf on two legs. When he looks, it disappears. Now, I know with interviewing people with alien encounters that they will protrude themselves, either something that we know that is something that either we fear or most likely something that will make us comfortable in our images in our mind. Is that something that is not correct?
Oh, it is very true. When they come to visit children, they will disguise themselves in a more peaceful way, like say a big bird or a bunny rabbit, or one kid was visited by a guy making popcorn. Oddly enough, they come in as teddy bears or even just as humans. And a lot of times they come as humans. They do this purposely because they don't want their natural look to scare us. And I've seen their natural look, and I've seen them as disguised as well. In fact, one of the when I very first saw the only thing I could halfway describe this would be my actual birth mother from up there. I don't know this for a fact, but I know that I had a dream where I met her, and she was a very beautiful angel. But we didn't talk; we just sat there and embraced each other. And then, oddly, I say that because I had another visitation this past October where me and a praying mantis embraced and hugged each other. So it could have been the same woman, just showing her natural self at this stage of my life. And so they
Lady
do
Wolf,
disguise. Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. Lady Wolf says thoughts on the dual space where rumored aliens and experiments were being done. Now, there are all kinds of reports throughout the United States where there are secret bases to where we, not us as civilians, but our government, are coexisting and working together with certain alien races to work on technology and whatever experiments. Is that not correct?
Oh yes, there are alien bases. Some people say they're underwater, and I have heard stories of that. In fact, I've seen video evidence where some of the ships have appeared to be coming out of water. So there could be bases underneath there, and I'm pretty sure there are. I even know there are bases underneath different areas of, say, around Arizona, different places where some of the spacecraft and debris is kept. And so, yeah, there are alien bases, and they're all bases where we keep a lot of the equipment. And I say we, I meant like the government and some of the higher class people.
JD Smooth. Our Pentagon has done war games on alien invasions, and we have lost every time. That's scary. Well, if you stop and think, Ronald Reagan invented what was it? Space War? Not Space Wars. What was it called?
I can't recall offhand.
Oh, where he developed the lasers and stuff for outer space. Gosh, it just slipped my mind when I read his comment. But he developed that back in the 80s, if you remember, because he made the speech that when we have, and that's not verbatim, an outside threat, we will all band together to try to defeat that. And I don't remember the exact words when he made that speech. What is that? Standing Stones. If he's still in here, he would know what it is, or Gary would know. Welcome, Scott's Life.
Hello, Scott. Yeah,
Uh, Gene Hudson. So, is the aliens responsible for the Mandela effect, going back and changing history?
I believe it is possible they can change history because that they can travel at such an instantaneous rate. And I do believe that they can time travel as well because they have the ability to go in such a fast rate of speed, and it could be just a matter. They could fly over in just a matter of seconds. You may not even see it. And what happens is when they fly at that such a fast rate that they can actually go from one time frame to another, and you may not even know it. And I do honestly believe that that they can time travel because of the fact that if you look back at some of the history and some of the reports, there are some ships and things in those reports that are identical to what people are seeing today. And people say, well, it's government made or it's our material. Well, it can't be our material because there are certain videos and photos that you look at that nothing that we have man made can be duplicated and can move at that exact angle or speed. It's almost impossible. That there is ways to tell if it's man made or if it's actual ET.
Rachel makes a comment. I've heard this comment before. Aliens will sometimes chemo as owls. Is that true?
Yeah, they can come and be as owls. In fact, I've done reports where women have said they've seen I've read reports, I should say, where women have seen owls and even men too. And here's the thing: there's been reports where people have actually had to get out of their car because a large jackrabbit or an owl or a deer was standing right in front of them. Now, the reason they appear like that, like I stated earlier, is because they want to bring themselves in a more peaceful frame, a more peaceful form, so that we don't get too scared. But they don't realize that even at that large owl or that large rabbit can be scary too.
Gene Hudson, Christopher had a military lady come on another channel and talked about working in military base, underground labs, and tall white aliens working labs. I think I've heard about this, but I know that there have been people that came forward in the late 80s, in mid 90s that came forward. I think John Greer actually went on record, Gene, and stated that fact as well. So, yes.
Right.
Yes, Linda Judd, Star Wars. I don't know why my mind went black. Ronald Reagan, that is correct. Star Wars. Thank you, Linda Judd. Round of applause for you there. Thank you. Welcome, FDL Paranormal. Nice to have you on the show. You're up late. That's right. You're on an investigation, aren't you? So, yes. Interesting.
In fact, I have a friend of mine in MUFON. His his family member, one of his family members, worked in one of the underground bases where they store the craft and the debris, and helped try to get into these devices, these ships, and what have you. So goes to show it is there.
You
Hello, Gene.
know, somebody from the government, and I'm terrible with names, and I know John Greer is very outspoken, and I love his shows that he's on and some of his documentaries. But a guy, and I'm terrible. I wish I had a clip to play, and maybe I need to start clipping them. But he even said that I've seen, and he said this: the shows that you see right now about space, we've already done it. You see it in the movies; it's already been done.
Oh yeah,
And
everything.
he says, you think that we are, and he was that deep in the government, technology is 50 or 70 years advanced in the government. He said, no. He says, that was back in the 90s. He says, we are far advanced than that,
We
that
are.
you could not even understand how far advanced the government is. You couldn't even comprehend the advancement in the leap that they have. And that blew my mind.
Well,
That's wild.
we even got med beds now. For those who don't know what med beds are, they're beds, medic beds that you lay in, and they put a lid over the top of you, put you in this chamber. After a couple hours, when you come back out, you are healed like a new child. They got beds that can actually do that. In
They had
fact,
that back in the 70s. What was the name of it? Space Odyssey. Wasn't it the name of the movie?
yep. So I will say right now to everybody, everything that you've seen on Star Trek or any of those shows that they were doing that you thought was neat, they've already done it now for real, not just a illusion, but they you can do it.
That's crazy. Well, we still don't have a cure for the common cold or cancer
Uh,
because it's a multi-trillion-dollar industry. So,
Hello, Rebecca. Nice for you to come here.
birthday cake.
And I do
Interesting.
believe in the next few years, I think more information will be disclosed to us. I don't think we're ever going to get to the bottom of the answers. They're never going to give us all the good details. But I do think that they're going to release some more information. And I will say that keep your eyes to the skies, everybody who can hear my voice, because I believe with this year and next year, I believe we will be experiencing more UFO or UAP sightings than what we did the last couple of years, because I think they're going to start showing themselves more because they want to make their presence felt to get us to understand that they are here and they want to help and assist.
Lady Wolf says this for the audio listeners. I dated a U.S. Marshal who was a bodyguard to Steven Spielberg. We talked many times about movies and said, where do you think all the ideas are coming from? And I've heard this a lot. And I'll say this, I know people that worked on the movie Independence Day with Will Smith. And that movie was scrubbed 13 times before it was released to the public. And who scrubbed it? The government. Why is that, ladies and gentlemen? Why do they have to touch it 13 times before it was released? That's right, Standing Stones, it is.
Well, you want to make sure that there's no information being leaked out that's going to reveal the presence of UFOs or the reality of it.
Isn't that crazy?
It's all a control factor.
Yes, it is. That's right, Rachel. And it's not about being right. It's just about being truth, the truth. And it. I'll say this: when I learned what oil is not fossil fuel. The fossil fuel is not what people say it is. It's what it was labeled to get us brainwashed to think it's something that is going to run out, that is precious. And if you don't believe me, do your homework on it. So, and there was a guy back in the 80s, wasn't it, that made a vehicle that ran on water. Remember his name?
Oh yeah,
That
like
was
I
in a restaurant. They got poisoned and he ran out and they said they poisoned me and he died. Well, we just got flagged on the air. I guarantee you that. Christopher, thank you for doing the show tonight. Yes, it is JD Smooth. It's come to New World Order. They want to take our currency, make it all crypto and digital. Absolutely. Gene Hudson, but the government has come out and told us there are aliens. You know, during the pandemic, I'll never forget this because I was hurt when they thought I broke my back and they found the cancer, right? And they made an announcement the UFOs were real, and everybody was just like da 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 da. I was like, shut the front door. Nobody paid a lick of attention. Anyways, what'd you think about that, Chris, when they came out publicly and said that?
Oh, I mean, it was about time they finally admitted it. But then you got to look at the circumstances. Here we are fighting COVID and complaining about it.
Oh, pandemic.
Pandemic,
Yeah,
my fault, my
pandemic.
fault.
Yeah, that's right.
And here we are dealing with that, and then they admit UFOs are real. If we had,
I know, right?
if we hadn't been going through the ordeal that we were going through, they may not have admitted it. They kind of gave it out there in kind of an odd time.
I know it was crazy. Well, thank you, Christopher. It was an awesome show. I greatly appreciate your time. Hopefully, everybody else enjoyed it. And how does everybody find you, Christopher?
I guess you can find me on Facebook at Crappie King Chris Harmon, or also Instagram as well. I can also be reached by email, and you can also find me on the show Something Wicked Paranormal Investigations on YouTube, as well as right here with Grizzly Chris during the week, and soon a website that will be launched titled Otherworldly Insights that will have information on UFOs, paranormal, and links to all the great shows and information and articles.
Awesome. Well, thank you, sir. And from coast to coast around the world, good night, everybody. Have a great weekend. Good night,
Chuckle
Christopher.
Fish.